Are we truly honoring the sacrifices of our combat-injured veterans, or are we letting the bottom line dictate our gratitude? Before we continue, if you want to stay on top of everything happening in U.S. politics, hit that subscribe button right now and leave a like. It really helps this channel grow. This past week, we saw a rare but significant development in Washington. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has lent his public support to a bipartisan bill aimed at bolstering benefits for combat-injured, medically retired service members. Now, you might think that's a straightforward issue, a no-brainer even. But the reality on Capitol Hill is far more complicated, and frankly, more contentious than it appears on the surface. This legislation, named in honor of Major Richard Starr, is designed to provide crucial retirement pay and Veterans Affairs disability benefits to an estimated 54,000 service members who have been medically retired due to combat injuries. These are individuals who have put their lives on the line, sustained wounds in service to our nation, and are now facing a future where their financial security could be in question. The bill aims to bridge a perceived gap in their compensation, ensuring they receive a level of financial support commensurate with their sacrifice and the severity of their injuries. The bipartisan nature of the bill is noteworthy, suggesting a potential for broad consensus. However, its path forward is encountering significant headwinds from within the Republican Party, specifically from some of its most influential voices. The opposition isn't coming from fringe elements, it's being voiced by key Republican leaders, including the chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, a powerful position that wields considerable influence over defense policy and spending. The primary argument against the bill, according to its Republican detractors, centers on its cost. Estimates suggest the legislation could run into billions of dollars over the coming years, a figure that some in Congress deem unsustainable or fiscally irresponsible. These concerns about the fiscal implications are not to be taken lightly. In an era of significant national debt and competing budgetary priorities, any new spending initiative, especially one of this magnitude, is bound to face intense scrutiny. The argument is often framed as a delicate balancing act. How do we adequately support our veterans without jeopardizing the long-term financial health of the nation? However, proponents of the bill, including Secretary Hegseth and the Democrats who have co-sponsored it, argue that the cost is a secondary consideration to the moral obligation we have to those who have served and sacrificed. They point to the specific circumstances of these medically retired service members, many of whom have suffered life-altering injuries that prevent them from pursuing lucrative civilian careers. The current benefit structure, they contend, is not adequately compensating for the loss of earning potential and the ongoing medical needs that these veterans face. The STAR Act is seen as a necessary correction, a way to fulfill promises that they believe have been falling short. The political dynamics at play here are fascinating. Secretary Hegseth, a prominent conservative voice himself, lending his support to a bill that some in his own party are opposing is a significant signal. It suggests that this issue has moved beyond partisan lines for some, and that the moral imperative of supporting wounded veterans is resonating even within fiscally conservative circles. His endorsement could potentially sway some wavering Republican votes, or at least put them in a difficult position, forcing them to publicly defend their opposition to benefits for injured service members. What this means is that the fate of thousands of veterans is now caught in the crossfire of a political debate. If the bill fails, these 54,000 individuals will continue to receive their current benefits, which advocates argue are insufficient. This could lead to continued financial hardship for many families who are already dealing with the long-term effects of combat injuries. On the other hand, if the bill passes, the government will incur significant new costs, which opponents argue could lead to cuts in other areas or further exacerbate the national debt. The debate also highlights a broader tension within American politics, the relationship between fiscal conservatism and national defense, particularly when it comes to the well-being of those who have served. Is there a point where the cost of providing for our veterans outweighs the perceived fiscal prudence? Or is ensuring the welfare of our service members a sacred trust that transcends budgetary concerns? The fact that this bill is named after a specific service member, Major Richard Starr, is a powerful rhetorical tool. It personalizes the issue, moving it away from abstract budget numbers and towards the tangible reality of individual sacrifice and the impact on their lives. Stories like Major Starr's are what fuel the advocacy for such legislation, reminding lawmakers of the human cost of conflict and the ongoing responsibility of a nation to its defenders. The coming weeks will likely see intense lobbying efforts from both sides. Veteran advocacy groups will be working to pressure lawmakers to pass the bill, while fiscal conservatives will continue to sound the alarm about the financial implications. The position taken by key Republican leaders, particularly those on the Armed Services Committee, will be crucial in determining whether this bill has a realistic chance of becoming law. So, what do you think about this? Is the government's responsibility to its injured veterans an absolute obligation, regardless of cost? Or is fiscal responsibility the paramount concern when it comes to new spending initiatives? Drop your opinion in the comments below. I read every single one. This is a critical moment for how we, as a nation, choose to value and support the very individuals who have borne the greatest risks for our security. The outcome will speak volumes about our priorities.